client leaves you for a cheaper agency. 3 months later, they come back. Now what? I asked this question this Sunday, and I have to tell you, I was quite surprised by the responses. Not because people disagreed, I expected that, but because people were looking at the exact same situation in completely different ways. Some said, take them back, treat them as if they never left. Others said, no, they're a new client now, start again. A few people said, hang on, before deciding anything, first understand why they left. And then someone said something that stayed with me. Appropriate treatment after reassessment. I read that and thought, maybe I'm looking at this from the wrong end, because my first instinct was to ask, should I take the client back? But perhaps that's not the first question. Perhaps the first question is, why did they leave? And I don't mean the easy answer. They found someone cheaper. Fine. But was that really the whole story? Had their budget changed? Had their expectations changed? Had our service changed? Or, and this is slightly uncomfortable, had our value simply become invisible to them? You know, that happens. When a relationship runs for a long time, good work can start feeling normal. Reliability starts feeling normal. Responsiveness starts feeling normal until someone else offers a lower number, and suddenly price becomes visible because value had stopped being visible. That thought stayed with me. So I started putting the responses together. And I think there are 3 questions worth asking when a client comes back. I call it the return audit. Nothing complicated. Just 3 things. Why did they leave? What is different now? And what should we design next? That's it. The first one is departure. Why did they actually leave? Maybe it was price, maybe service, maybe speed. Maybe their business was under pressure and they genuinely needed to reduce costs. One person in the discussion made this point, and I think it's important. Sometimes a client leaving is not a judgment on you. Sometimes circumstances simply changed. And if that's true, then treating their return like some admission of guilt would be, well, a little self-important, wouldn't it? Then comes the second question. What is different now? Why are they back? Did the cheaper model fail? Maybe. But maybe their business grew. Maybe the requirement became more complex. Maybe leadership changed. Maybe they now need something they didn't need 6 months ago. Or perhaps they discovered that lower cost and lower risk are not always the same thing. That distinction matters. Because a returning client is not necessarily saying, you were right, we were wrong. Sometimes they're simply saying, the situation is different now. And then comes the third question. What do we design next? Now, this is where my own view changed. Initially, I thought there were 2 options. Take them back on the old terms or take them back on tougher terms. But the more I thought about it, the less sense that made. Because if they have changed and we have changed, why would we recreate the exact same relationship? Maybe the scope changes. Maybe the review rhythm changes. Maybe decision rights become clearer. Maybe payment terms change. Maybe both sides need better visibility. Not because they left, not as punishment, simply because we know more now. And I think that's the part I was missing earlier. You can preserve the relationship without preserving the old operating model. Actually, this goes beyond agencies. Think about it. A vendor comes back. A senior employee wants to return. A strategic partner wants to restart a relationship. The question is not simply, do we trust them again? The better questions are, why did the relationship break? What has genuinely changed? And what should the next version look like? Departure, difference, design. That's the return audit. And there was one more thing in the discussion that I keep coming back to. Someone said, relationships matter most. I agree completely. But maybe mature relationships are not the ones that pretend nothing happened. Maybe they're the ones strong enough to learn from what happened without turning that learning into resentment. So let me ask you something. And I genuinely like you to think of a real person here. A client, an employee, a partner, Someone who left and later wanted to come back. When they returned, did you restart the relationship or did you redesign it? Because maybe trust doesn't always need to be restored. Sometimes it needs to be redesigned.